Boom, hello, and welcome to the Executive Protection Lifestyle Podcast. This is the #1 podcast in the executive protection game, and this is the largest free real-world library of executive protection content in existence. So sit back, relax, dig in, and enjoy the show. While we honor the slogan that executive protection is more than just a job, ladies and gentlemen, it really is a lifestyle. Boom. Boom, team. Here we are once again. This next episode is a recap of season 5. We've been doing this recap series, which I absolutely love because it takes the moments from the last podcast and brings them up to the top from that whole year, right? So here we got Charles Law, we got Will Geddes, we got Elizabeth Forrester. So these episodes basically give you, it's like the Reader's Digest version of the episodes that we had this last year, so where we take the nuggets, we take the gold, and we just give it to you all in one podcast. So like I said, it's always better to watch these on YouTube because you can just get so much more from the conversation on YouTube watching them. But if you're listening, this is going to be power packed. And as I mentioned to you guys, the Man of Peace podcast is the place where we're going to continue this conversation. There'll still be episodes dropping on executive protection lifestyle, but primarily my podcasting efforts are going to be consolidated from the Protector Nation podcast and this podcast into the Man of Peace podcast primarily. That's where you're going to go to keep up with absolutely everything. I'm super excited for what this next year is going to bring. We are growing exponentially. Bravo Research Group's growing in a huge way. If you guys need any security, coverage, support, you have some country that you haven't worked in, that you want some assistance in, hit us up, bravoresearchgroup.com. But anyways, for this episode, it's just been such an honor to have such amazing people willing to work with us on the podcast, share their experiences, and canonize their personal information and wisdom into what is the largest library of real-world executive protection content in the world under the Executive Protection Lifestyle brand and podcast. I love you guys. Enjoy the episode, and I'll see you out there in the big game, or maybe we'll train together. Let's go. Boom.
What would you say if there was a key? I mean, you said you're 50 and you've done a lot of things. Is there any kind of key or like a few values or maybe even tactics you've used over the years to just stay the course, to stay in this game, and not get hit by any of the roadblocks or landmines that like wipe dudes out,
Yeah, there are a lot of those, but in my case, I tried to learn my craft. I tried to learn what it was I was doing, but at the same time, learn the guy's job above me, right? Tried to figure out what he was doing and how he was doing it. And then just like you would in the Marine Corps and law enforcement, you have good leaders, good mentors, and then you have guys that are not capable of being mentors and they try to be mentors. And I tried to pick up the good stuff and kind of get rid of the bad stuff. But not only that, I burnt the candle at both ends. And I hear a lot of people now talking about don't do that. But, the only way that I was able to train jiu-jitsu, be in the Marine Corps, write a book, travel to all these countries is from burning it at both ends. And, that's the only way you're going to get 2 or 3 lifetimes done in one lifetime. Yeah. So that was always huge for me. And then in terms of the opposing side of it, like you're asking what people shouldn't do, in my estimate, because 80% of our business is entertainment, it's to realize you're not the entertainer. You're not the celebrity. It's not about you. You are a service provider. You are the help. And there are a lot of guys that are confused about that in this day and age. They think they're the celebrity, they're the star. And not only does their bank account not reflect that, but like their capabilities, their power, their longevity, it's not the same. And so if you mistake that, you lose on all fronts.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge pitfall when guys start, trying to roll the client at a certain level. And I say the same thing, just in case some of y'all are out there being sensitive. You're the help. We're the help. Like, don't get it twisted. Nannies, butlers, drivers, PAs, we are one other type of help. And you really, if you're a gangster, you learn how to work with those auxiliary teammates, like the social dynamics. You make those, you get those guys on the payroll. You know what I'm saying? Like you're trading cigarettes and Skittles for favors with those guys. You're getting things done.
Yeah. I mean, so you're touching on one component that's really, really important in our realm, which is personality profiles, like knowing who you're working with, knowing how they think, knowing how they make decisions, knowing how they operate. And that gives you a window into how you're going to do business with them. And, you can't motivate somebody by something they're not motivated by. So I have to first know how you think and how you behave and how you make those decisions. So watching instead of talking, that was another lesson. Like, don't give away too much information, do your thing, and then figuring out what motivates people. And it's different. It's different not only with personality types, but also in countries and within regions, and even cities to countryside, very different. In fact, I was talking to somebody else about this the other day, but these things go a long way. Or something like this, right? Like, guys will go nuts to get one of those things, and it opens gates, and all of a sudden I can't get on the tarmac, and the guy that is running it is a military guy. And after a few minutes of talking, I kind of figure some stuff out. Like, hey man, I got some stuff for you. I want to give you this is my background, I really respect what you do. And then 5 minutes later, our vehicle's on the tarmac. Exactly.
Oh, that's the key. And it's with a little bit of understanding, it can be done. But I think also what you're saying too is, man, like, you listen. Like, it's not about us. Ask those questions and then listen and let them run, man, and let them expose themselves, and and make sure you're not making an adversarial type situation, and keep the egos out of communication. Because if you at that level, with those patches and badges and things we bring, can validate the dude on the tarmac. You know what I mean? Like, and this is like a way that we roll. That's just, you don't think about it. You want to make sure your ego is arranged so that you're constantly trying to validate the people around you, so that you guys can get on the same team, so they're disarmed, man. This is
that's a whole nother topic that is really pretty critical, because there are some really important things that come from, and positive things that come from, having an ego. And from the Marine Corps, from law enforcement, fighting, there's a lot of value. But if you're not able to adjust it, to check it, to modify it, to reduce the signature of it, you're going to suffer for it. So there's a place and time for it, just like violence or any other component.
Yeah, no, I feel like the ego gets a bad rap, and I tell my guys on my teams, like, yo, check it out. We have a healthy ego here. We take pride in certain things. We take pride in being able to make adjustments. We take pride in being able to listen, understand, and implement. Like, we take pride in our work product, like in the jersey you have on. Take pride in representing your company, your client, yourself. And those things just got to be managed, man. Otherwise, pride comes before a fall. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it can hurt you or it can help you. It's kind of like, drugs and medication. If you're taking it at the wrong time or the wrong stuff, it's going to hurt you. You take it another time, it saves your life.
100%, man. No, I love it.
Boom. If you've been enjoying the podcast, I want to encourage you to come and train with me. Train with us, the League of Executive Protection Specialists. We offer online courses so you can train and learn how to take your executive protection career to the next level from the comfort of your own home. We offer on-ground training on everything from the hard skills of driving, shooting, medical, and into the soft skills through the Executive Protection Immersion course, which is one of the most experiential, learning-centric courses in the executive protection industry. Either way, I want you to become part of the golden standard in the private security industry and join the brotherhood, the League of Executive Protection Specialists. Go to epspecialist.com and let's do our careers together. I'll see you there. Out.
So what would you say, real quick, was your biggest takeaway from like fighting in the cage? Like, I feel like these things make us who we are.
Probably for me, what it did is change the way I process things mentally in terms of emotions and feelings. Because I always got nerves, walking to the ring, walking to the cage. And I realized it was just part of the process, and it was a good thing. And I knew, okay, I get to this point, like X amount of time before the fight, I'm going to start feeling this way, and I'm going to start looking at things a certain way. And I may even question things. Am I ready? Or should I be doing this? Is this the right time? Is this guy, how's this work out for me? And I found that I really wanted to not just win for me, but like show my team, like, this is who we are, this is what we're about. And I was worried about letting them down. And I found that there's this process that you go through, and if you do it enough, you figure this out, right? Which is like, I'm going to feel this way at this time, and here's how I offset it: by what I eat, what I drink, who I talk to, what I talk about, and acknowledge it. Say, okay, it's going to be a feeling, but it's a fleeting feeling. It's going to come and it's going to go. And I'm going to use these breathing techniques. I'm going to talk to these guys who've been there and done that before, and I'm going to do these things. And through, the mental management side of it, you're able to overcome anything. And so that was probably the biggest thing I took from fighting. And I'm still competing in jiu-jitsu. So even when I go and I'm competing on a national or an international event in the black belt category, I have a lot of people that have expectations, and I have to manage their expectation. And then I have to deal with the emotions, pre-fight jitters and stuff like that. Still to this day, with a bunch of stripes on my black belt, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. I acknowledge it's going to happen, and then I just manage it. It's part of the process.
Yeah. I can tell you a good story about when I went to Sao Paulo once. I went with a US company. Traveled down there. I was doing a road show, going to all their offices in, where were we? Mexico City, Sao Paulo, Buenos Aires, Caracas, Bogota. So we went to all of them. And it was the head of security for this big US firm and me. And I was doing some counter hijacking and kidnapping training, doing some security reviews of the building, that sort of thing. We can go into this on the chat if you want. And the local regional head, he turned around and he basically said, I don't need this training. I'm fine. I've lived in Sao Paulo for the last year, never had a problem. I'm fine. Okay. I get a call 3 months later, his 2 children had been kidnapped. So the next time I saw him was when I flew in to do the negotiation for the children to get them back. And he just looked at me and I said, no words are necessary. Let's just crack on. Let's get this done.
Wow. No, that's the way the world. I mean, that's the way the world works. You make that statement. I mean, humility is like an armor. It's like it just greases everything, it makes things easier. I have some people that I've trained with or work with that have built these brands, and they're every once in a while they'll say something about imposter syndrome, and I'm like, I completely get it. I completely understand.
Yeah, me too.
You get up there and you got to perform and all that, but for me personally, I think the advantage I might have had is I just never been so amazing at anything. So the whole entire time has been like, I'm like 5'10". I've never been, I've never been that amazing. I've always, we go on a run with the platoon, and I'm like, B+, B- guy, and so I've always been like, I'm just a student. So I've learned that humility makes life so much easier, because you don't have to worry about the fall from grace. Like, I'll take the class, I can learn something. It's really interesting, and it's armor for some of you guys out there that might be, coming up in the game. Just remember, humility is very powerful, actually.
I totally agree. Couldn't agree more, Byron. And I think also the other thing is, you're a very smiley, friendly guy. So am I. And you don't have to turn up steely-jawed, steely-eyed, looking like a death dealer and a soul taker.
Right.
You're someone who's got to be able to communicate right across the board, whether it be with the personal assistant, whether it be the cleaner, whether it be the housekeeper, whether it be the kids, whatever. You've got to be able to communicate. And if you walk in the door looking like, the Grim Reaper has arrived, you're just going to scare the shit out of people. Well, and added to which, probably, and I don't know about you, Byron, but probably the most dangerous people, the people that I wouldn't want to be up against, who I can thankfully, call as friends, are probably the most dangerous people that I know, are the nicest, gentlest, most humble people imaginable.
Absolutely. And you wouldn't see him coming. It's like, oh yeah, it's like a dad in a sweatshirt, and it's like, no, that guy has an ear necklace in his garage. Like, that's the guy, it's like, if you don't know, 100%, man. I 100% agree with you. So
there's another quick one. I got to jump in. Sorry, Byron. You know me, buddy. You've seen what I'm like. I just blather on. My very quick one, quick indent, which I'm sure you'll appreciate, is again about keeping physical fit. Absolutely. I'm 57, but I'm training. I'm boxing 5 times a week. I'm running. I'm doing weights. I'm doing everything I possibly can. And I always have. But, you don't have to, don't worry if you don't look steely-eyed and square-jawed. And I remember that lovely line in The Bodyguard, that classic film for all of us, Byron, with Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston. When he first turns up and Whitney turns around to him and goes, "You don't look like a bodyguard." And he goes, "This is my disguise."
That's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, no, I think there's so much. You need to be able to sell security or know that you are physically fit enough to outperform another human being. The whole consideration of your brand is going to represent their brand as they walk around, as people see you, as you walk in and you advance and do the stuff. And, I know so many good guys that go through our school that whip it on in training, do all these things, and they're awesome and they have the right heart. But I'm just like, you have to master that physical fitness. You don't have to be pretty, but you got to be fit.
Yeah, you definitely got to. Sprint training. I'd say if there was one bit of training I would advise to anybody in the CP game, and you know this because it's quite often actions on or immediate actions because something's happened. It's that very fast cardio. It's that ability to think fast when you're under pressure. Sprint training, we all hate doing it, but that's the one thing that should really, I personally think, should configure in every EP's training regime.
100%, because those intense intervals get that heart rate up. It's intense, man. And it's what you're going to need. You got to perform at those levels. You're going to carry a gun in service as a client in my company. I need to know that you're on or above law enforcement levels.
I'm proficient. Yeah.
You're an actual professional, right? And then my civilian guy, what's your background? Oh, I'm just, I train, I shoot some competitions. I go to some courses, but I'm ongoing training. We get out there, civilian guy's doing just fine. I'm not asking a lot, but he's doing just fine. My military law enforcement guys are struggling because I feel like the background becomes a stumbling block at some point.
I agree. Byron, you're one of the few people who actually understands this. I get a lot of guys who message me regularly, who are thinking of coming into the industry, and they go, "I'd really love to do what you do, but I'm a civilian. I can't get into it." So when I turn around and say, "Well, hey, I'm a civilian," they go, "Oh my God, okay, it's possible, it's doable." The thing I find with a lot of military guys, and I count countless guys as good friends who are from all different arms of the armed services and the military, and guys from law enforcement. They come with a preset approach, which is their kind of stratagem. This is how you deal with it. This is how you operate. And if they are split up, and that was another thing I'm going to pick up on that you said, which is so valuable, that they can only do it that way. They're too rigid in the way that they operate. And when guys come out, I always turn around to them. I say, we've got to provide platinum solutions on a tinfoil budget. So you're not going to get all the resources and the toys, and you're going to get all the stuff that you want.
Solutions on a tinfoil budget. That might be the name of it. It was so good. That's awesome.
But you're right about if you put too many of the same ilk on a team, it can be a fucking disaster. I had that. I used to at one point use just special forces guys. I didn't pick from Parachute Regiment or Royal Marines, and I just literally have SF guys. And they were a fucking nightmare. They literally were so cliquey. They would literally kind of glue together, and then they became like unruly children. And I remember sacking a bunch of 5 guys who were all literally just walked out of SAS. And I said, a lot of you are fucking useless. Off. they went. So I learned from that time. The point you made is so valuable. You've got to mix the team up. You've got to have different people from different backgrounds. And the one consistent between all of them is they've got to be good at the soft skills. The soft 100%. Skills. Any guy can come with the hard skills. Anybody can come with the hard skills. If they can't do the soft skills, they won't survive.
Woo! How y'all holding up? How y'all doing out there? Look at my man, look like he's working, boy. This is good stuff.
Oh man, doing good. I just got off.
Yeah,
it was awesome, man. Yes. Last we spoke, I think I was driving in the car doing another detail, and now I got a new detail. And for the first time, Byron, it's so crazy to just say this. I mean, I had to turn down work for the first time. So it's a good feeling,
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael, I'm so proud of you, man. It's so beautiful. How long have you been, how long did it take? Like how long since you were like, all right, I think I'm going to do this?
So I got I did the class in October with you. And then it took like a few months. It just took a few months. As you know, I had a daughter, I had a baby. So yeah, I mean, dude, I remember the first call. I think we talked about it. We're like, I don't even know if EP is for me. I don't even know if I can even do this because I'm a new dad. I got to be home, take care of the baby.
Yeah.
And I literally, like you and Rick said, I found a detail with really solid guys with a detail that's lasted a very long time. And I got integrated on the team, and it's just fantastic. Really good.
That's so good, man. That's so good. It's beautiful. It's the way it's supposed to be. It's the way it works, man. The brand attracts good people, and then the people that put in the work and do the stuff and do the stuff. And so it's super awesome to get this feedback from you guys out here. It's super awesome to know that this stuff is getting you where you want to be and achieving your goals and your dreams. Honestly, man, I couldn't ask for more. So that is super cool.
Yeah. And you guys talk about the amount of, finances you can make.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. I just seriously, it's not to boast, but it's to just be a testimony of just putting in the work and networking and all that stuff and doing what you say. Thank God I am now in six figures and I have a schedule where I could be home with my family for like 4 days, and I'm working like 3-4 days. Sometimes I have to sleep at a hotel like tonight. But it's a sacrifice, but I can't even ask for anything better. It just blows my mind to see how quickly like this happened, and yeah, I don't know. I can't even, I'm just smiling because I'm like, it feels so real, like a movie, but it's legit. Like I'm doing it.
Yeah, man. I thank God for his grace, man. It's such a beautiful thing to hear that. And that's the thing, man. Like this industry is blowing up. Company owners like myself are looking for good quality manpower. If you're a good person and you get good training and you have values and you have ethics and you do good work, you're going to go far in this industry. And you don't have to go to college for 4 years and get hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Okay.
Yeah.
And, I think you just did training day. You know what I mean? Like a lot of you got through training day.
Yes.
And you want the real deal. Like let's say you got all the training and you drop like 10K and then you're making six figures within 3 months, 4 or 5 months, whatever. Like, man, it's awesome to see it happen again. Every time it happens, I'm so excited, man.
It's so crazy. I was, I don't know who else is listening, but I was listening to Byron does podcasts, if you didn't know, with various people and different podcast hosts. And you're talking about like social dynamics and how, of course, we need the hard skills. Of course, we need to present ourselves well. But social dynamics today, like on my detail today, saved me because I heard the house manager talking, and I happened to be near the chefs while they're cooking, and they asked me to do something for them. And I was like, well, doing concierge stuff is not below me. I'm going to do this to help him out because it makes his job easier and it frees him up.
Yep.
But then I kind of helped the whole team. And then the principal heard about it and they're like, wow, I heard you did this for, the house manager today. And that was something that might have seemed small, but it was big to him. And I was like, okay, don't cry in front of her. But I felt good inside,
Yes.
But it was awesome. Yeah. 100%. So the social dynamics thing really has helped me a lot. So thank you.
100%, man. No, that's huge because the social dynamics is what keeps you in the game and gets you paid, man. And it's funny, I all these, we have all these courses, all this stuff. Dudes are like, yo, the social dynamics, bro. Like that's what got me through. That's what got me to survive the game. That's what, And that's the truth, man, because it's like, that's your day to day. Those are your tools for day to day. And people want to discount soft skills, but that's what you build your career on. The relationship. And it's not a secret. It carries out over into every other professional business is relationship, procurement, and maintenance.
Yeah. And it's crazy because you said I only did the training day, which is true. The other day or last week, I had to drive, and I was not mentally prepared at all. But so guys, I mean, if you need to take all the courses Byron gives, I need to be on that too. But I had to escort somebody, an auxiliary staff member, and they were like, "Well, you go because you're new." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Because I'm new?" Okay, I'll just do it. I had to drive, and I freaked out, and I didn't do the multiple maps thing, and then I went the wrong direction.
Yep.
And it was my fault, but I recovered. I ended up going to the right place. The other person was late anyway. I was like, "Oh, makes me look okay."
Yeah. I didn't ruin everyone's.
But I was scared. I was like, I've been driving since I was like 18. Why am I so scared? But I was like, just drive like you're driving my wife or something.
Yeah.
Like, just drive like a normal person.
Yeah.
The Executive Protection Immersion course is a new approach to training agents on how to operate at the highest levels in the executive protection industry. It's one thing to learn from PowerPoint and to have conversations, but the very premise of this course is to give agents the experience they need to be effective in the field. You'll get access to our online learning platform, and then you'll show up for class, and we will dive straight out into the field for on-the-job training. This is a 6-day immersive experience designed to give you the confidence you need to operate at the highest levels in the executive protection industry. You will execute a training battery of multiple executive protection operations under the supervision of some of the best in the industry. This is the course that bridges the gap from the residents to the movement team. This is the course that will give people who do not have the operational experience what they need to be effective in the field. This is the course for veterans in the game to come and see how other elite professionals are executing on executive protection operations. So this is a soft skill centric course, right? This is understanding your operations, how to pull things off. These guys are gonna get feedback from a client after working a client. That's invaluable. A lot of guys go their whole careers without getting feedback from a client and just get fired, right? You're gonna have multiple exposures with clients, and you're gonna get in-field critiques. You're gonna be out running details with myself and with the other instructors. When you're done with this course, you won't just have the knowledge, but you'll have the experience to be one of the industry's elite executive protection professionals. This course will give your employers the confidence that you know what you're doing. But most of all, it'll give you the confidence to know how to execute on executive protection operations at the highest levels. This course is part of the golden standard of executive protection training in our industry. It's the first of its kind, and it is absolutely changing the game.
That like Chevelle or whatever it was that you guys posted just passed. I got it.
You already have the address?
Yeah, I got it.
More audibles, man.
So tomorrow you're going to have 2 vehicles, okay? But you're still going to rotate through every position.
Do you want me to fall in behind him or stay on our guy?
You can continue to stay on our possible threat.
Come and join us at the League of Executive Protection Specialists. This is more than just a training course. This is experience. And the best of us know that executive protection is more than just a job. It truly is a lifestyle.
Doubled your company in size almost every year, bro. Can you just, can you get into that a little bit? You can't just,
Yeah.
What is it? How do we do this? Can you give us some of the secret sauce? I don't need the whole sandwich, but yeah, I'm saying, let me get some pickles and lettuce real quick.
Yeah, we'll get into it. I'm thinking about what the most contributing factors were, right? So doubled in size is an aggressive claim. It may not have been quite that, but it was pretty close. So we've done well. I've had, our tax advisors or asset protection advisors just look at me sideways and go, "What the hell are you doing?" Which I took as a compliment because we're doing well on paper. So I think really bringing it back to basics, such as what problem am I here to solve? What solution am I here to provide? Right now, nothing in those two questions means how much money do I make, or how many accounts do I have, or how cool is the detail. That has nothing to do with it. Who has a problem that I can provide a solution for at the highest standard, and make their quality of life, work quality, work-life balance better. That's from employees internally, or working on the details in management, what have you, to clients. Like what solution can I provide to each person that I run into, and with that kind of guiding principle, like who can I help, who can I make better? I think that's one of the main things that's helped, because there's a number of times, how it is in this business, you'll do work for free sometimes. You somebody is solid, or it's just going to help that relationship, or you value them enough. Good. I don't need money out of this. Let's take care of it. What do you need? And you make it happen, or you do it for a greatly reduced rate or whatnot, to build those relationships and the quality of those relationships. Really, people, there's a saying, your net worth is in your network. And that holds true across all industries. It's absolutely true in security. If I need somebody in Memphis and I don't have anybody, and I've got no network, that's going to be a tough day. But if I've got a great network, I can pull somebody out of the weeds. It happens to us all the time. We always come up with very high quality because we vet them, and we know our network knows what we're looking for and what the standard is, and they can do that kind of thing. But I think it's really just staying solution focused, and what can I do for somebody else is what's made us successful.
What does executive protection mean to you? What's your definition of this thing?
Good question.
Right. We're doing it all the time, but
yeah, it might not be an exact definition, but I'm going to tell you what my response to that is. So what executive protection is to me is being that stability in the environment, and having an answer to every contingency. Right now, your advanced guy is supposed to do advanced work, but each guy, you kind of do you do your homework, right? You do your own advanced work. You come to the table with solutions. Kind of goes back to EP 101. Do you have an answer for every contingency? And are you forward thinking enough to have those in place before any of the contingencies arise, right? We're trying to be ahead of the OODA loop or the power curve. We're not trying to be behind that. And the more you can do that, and the more instant your responses are for your employees, peers, clients, what have you, the more valuable you are. The more you got to think about it, the more you got to fight through the problem, the more you got to go ask somebody else. It starts taking away from client confidence or your peers' confidence or what have you. Confidence is built in preparation, having the answers, and knowing what to do. I had someone just explain this to me, called and the guys, I think it might have been Caleb, and one of his mentors was saying, no surprises. Right? Always have a plan, some answer to whatever problem you may face, and then you have no surprises. It's if you can do those things, you foster confidence, and then things run smoothly. You know what I mean? It's the things you prepared for that you never really have to face. It's what's you're unprepared for that ends up punching you in the face.
I had to get my eyes open by going to a shooting competition and watching a 17-year-old girl just wreck shop on my face. And I was like, I think I need to work on some things, but so that doubt thing is an obstacle people put in their own way that isn't necessarily accurate. You put in the work, you can have the thing, but you got to do the thing to have the power.
Yeah. 100%.
Love it.
Yeah,
and you're living it.
I am. Those moments in life, those three key moments, that first one at 6, and it's kind of funny, I was thinking about it yesterday, and I thought, well, when was this? And, the first one was about 6, the second one was around 9, and the third one was around 12. So I don't know what those 3-year, marks were, but at 9 years old, I got in trouble for lying.
Okay.
Big surprise.
Right.
Waters, what can I get away with? And I got in trouble for lying. And my dad, he was a hard-nosed kind of grind guy, and military background. And for a change, I wasn't paddled, and I wasn't putting time out, and I wasn't, all the things. Yeah. But he made me write an essay.
Okay.
And he made me, of course, back then there was no Google. You had to get out and actually
do it.
Look things up and do the research. And I hated that as a kid. There was so many times I had to do that, but it's paid off. But I had to write an essay on integrity.
Wow.
It was another game changer for me, because my dad had come from a background where his family, he had to lie to get his first job. He had to lie about who he was to get his first job at 10 years old, because his family name was so bad that if you had that name, nobody would hire you.
Wow.
10 years old, had to lie about who he was. And he worked there for a month before somebody recognized him. And boss came to him and said, for a month, you've proven to me that you deserve a shot, but you get one warning. This is it. You mess up at all and you're gone, and you will not work another day in this town. And my dad stayed at that. He was a service agent at a gas station and worked there from 10 years old until he left for the military at 18.
Outstanding. I love it. I mean, it's like the whole, lies are generally a bad thing. I was glad he was able to get someone to see who he was so they wouldn't prejudge him.
Right.
But that's awesome, the mechanism he put in place and the impact that it had, that you had to write that essay, and it really did have an impact.
It made such a big difference for me, because it was, at the time, it was just, integrity was just a word, and I didn't know what I really didn't know what it meant at 9 years old. I had no idea without looking it up, but writing that essay, and I couldn't tell you at all what that essay said, but just taking the time to write that and moving forward in my life, it became such an impactful thing for me, that when I was on a job, when I was doing something, that it was always, integrity is all about just doing the right thing when nobody's looking. That's all it is. And you're on a job, there's a lot of times, especially on these details, there's a lot of time it is hurry up and wait. You're standing around, you're like, oh my goodness, I could take a nap, but you have to consider the fact that somebody's watching. Yeah. Somebody's going to walk through that door at any minute. Somebody's going to come down that hallway. Somebody's going to round that corner, whatever it is. And that moment that you decide that nobody's watching is the moment that you could be at risk, or somebody else could be at risk.
Well, and
take a second.
Yeah, absolutely. And Murphy's always watching. Literally always. Like the second you look down at your phone, that's when he's gonna come around the corner with a hacksaw and an ice pick, and you're like, I've been standing here for 4 hours. They look at my phone for 1 second, and this is when the client walks by. Oh, Byron, looks like your guys are on their phones. And, and that's the game. But the reality of what we do is that, it sounds so cliche, but the guys that get it win, and it's so important. Integrity really is like the secret, it's like everything, the quality of the product your clients are paying for and what they're actually getting. The entire thing hinges on your guys, your team, your individual's ability to do what they're supposed to do when supposedly no one's watching, and do it whether someone's watching or not. That's the entire product hinges on this one thing. And it's just the backbone of what we do. So it's beautiful that you got that lesson, because it's everything. But anyways, what else? So what this third
moment, the third moment, I was 12. And again, I'm not sure exactly what happened in my life, but at that moment, it was that moment that was the first time I told my dad, I'm going to join the Army when I grow up.
Oh boy. Okay.
And his response was, yeah, I know.
Okay.
And that was it. I mean, that was that moment of, and I don't know if it was because of his reaction that I felt confident that I could do it, or if I was already going to anyways. I don't know. I'm the baby of 3, and I have an older brother and older sister, and everybody thought my brother would join. Everybody, that was going to be his plan. That was his trajectory, and he ended up not going, and that wasn't what God had for him. And for my dad at 12 years old to say, I know about me was huge. And I didn't for a really long time. My dad actually never saw me join the military. He passed away before I joined. But I joined really, really late in life. I actually it was a whole process. It took a whole process, and just long enough for me to not be able to take any credit at all. That's how that worked. But yeah, I didn't join until I started my process at 34. And by the time I got through all of the denials, I got medically disqualified on paper twice. Wow. I never sent to MEPS. And then finally, Essentially I got the recruiters got an email that kind of just said from USAREC, look, make her go away, send her to MEPS so that she'll get medically disqualified there, because that's permanent, and then we can make her go away, because they just on paper they didn't think that I was material. And so they sent me to MEPS, and of course I passed MEPS without any problem. Yeah. And here I am. Then I had to get an age waiver because I had turned 35. So I started my process in January. At 34, I aged out in July, and I swore in September, and I left the next January.
Outstanding. Well, a story about perseverance.
Oh yeah.
So we got like situational awareness, integrity, perseverance, and definitely some grit out of these stories, right?
Yeah. I'm very thick-skinned. I don't take no for an answer very well.
Apparently, I dig it.
Boom! Quick shout out to our sponsor, Staccato. My first pistol sponsor. I've been sponsored by a lot of companies, right, over the years. But when it comes to pistol, that's my bread and butter. Pistol is something I believe in. You know, I'm a competitive shooter. You know, we're shooting anywhere from, 800 rounds a month type of thing, right? So Staccato, being what I believe, is one of, if not the most complete handguns you can put in your hand. It's got every component that a handgun could have, should have. They're actually extremely dependable now that they've made some changes, and these things are straight up tack drivers. If you're looking for a pistol that will do as much of the work for you as a piece of hardware can, obviously you have to have the marksmanship and all the different things, but different guns perform at different levels. And I want to say that Staccato is one of, by far, for sure, take it from a competitive shooter, we're shooting the highest volumes of rounds constantly right now. Not used to have a background guy, but like right now, when you go shoot, you're gonna see certain brands. Staccato is one of, if not the highest performing firearm that is both CCW, duty ready, and also competitive ready. So I want to give them a shout out. If you guys are looking for a good handgun to build your skills on top of, go check out Staccato. Much love and respect. Boom. When it comes to the technology you use to protect your home, there's nothing better than Deep Sentinel. AI-driven, human-monitored technology that will keep you and your family safe for the same price you're paying for whatever Ring doorbell system you have. Check out Deep Sentinel. It's such an honor to join forces with these guys. They should be in every single house in the world. Get real-time Overwatch for you and your loved one. And for 10% off, depending on when you're watching this, don't forget to use code Byron at checkout. Boom. And to support this podcast, go to executiveprotectionlifestyle.com and contribute to our Patreon account. That Patreon account is what helps me make this podcast possible, contributing to this brand, what we're doing here, making it so that I can bring better guests on, making it so that we can plan more events and just expand the contribution to the private security industry, and also to making America a safer place. Do whatever you can, contribute whatever you can, because it makes all of these things possible. Thanks for those contributions.